Welcome, moviegoers. Today, we're going to be ranking 2025's hottest releases. But you're going to want to make sure you stay around in this video because we have a brand new giveaway that we're starting in this video today. You're not going to want to miss it. Make sure you stick around. Now, let's get to the first video. So we're going to start off. We're just going to go through these movies starting in January and working our way to the end of the year. So the first three movies we're going to look at today have already come out. The first one is called Better Man, and this is a movie. It's a biopic about Robbie Williams. I don't know much about Robbie Williams, but I do love a good biopic, and I just don't know about this movie because there's one aspect of this movie that just doesn't make much sense. The person playing the character of Robbie Williams in this biopic is a monkey, and I remember seeing the trailer for this movie in the theater for the very first time. And like many of the people around me, some of which audibly said the very thing that what I was thinking is, why a monkey? It just didn't make any sense. It doesn't look like it adds anything to this movie. So it just makes the movie seem a little weird, but you never know. It may be decent. But because of this, I'm going to have to land this movie probably somewhere in the middle. I'm probably a little bit lower in the middle. I'm going to probably put it down in the C tier because I just don't know how him being portrayed as a monkey is going to play out. So that movie is going to go up into the C tier. The next movie is Den of Thieves 2, Pantera. I didn't watch the first movie of this, so I don't know about the second movie. I will say I've seen the trailer for it. It does look pretty good. It does look action-packed. So from a pure action movie, I think it may be somewhat decent, but since I don't know much else about it, I'm going to, and I haven't heard much buzz about this movie. I'm just going to put it in the B category because I do think it can be a good action, a solid action and entertaining movie. It's probably one I may be looking to go see here in the very near future. The third movie is Wolfman. Now, I am not a person who enjoys movies in the horror genre. It's just not my thing. I'm just not really into it. I have seen the trailer for the movie. The trailer looks okay. I think if you're into this type of movie, it will be a decent and solid movie. I've heard some good things on the reviews of the trailer, so I think this movie is going to land in the B column for me. It's not for me, and I wouldn't put it that high for me, but I think for other people who enjoy this genre of movie, I think that it'll be a solid movie for them. Now, the next movie rounding out January is one more for the kids, and it's a movie called Dogman. And the movie is corny and weird and crazy, but it's a kid's movie, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's a cartoon. It's about a man and a dog. They both happened to be in an accident. They were both police officers, and they were both in an accident, and the head of one was okay and the body was bad. The body of one was okay and the head was bad. So they decided they're just going to put the head on the body. So it's got a person with the head of a dog, and it's Dogman. And this Dogman goes around fighting crime and whatnot. Sure. I think it could have an interesting premise. I think kids could potentially like it, but I'm going to just put this, I'm going to say it's going to be solid. I'll put it in the B category. Now, the next movie we have in February, coming out February 7th, is Love Hurts. I'm really looking forward to this movie. Do I think it's going to be a great movie? No, I don't. This movie is made by the same person who made the movie Nobody. And I really enjoyed that movie. That movie was fantastic. This movie has the actor who played Short Round in the Indiana Jones movies, the second movie. And the trailer looked really, really good. There's a lot of action in this movie. It looks very funny as well. Because I think it is, I'm going to put this in the A column. I think this is going to be a surprisingly good movie this year that people really enjoy. I think it's going to surprise a lot of people, and they're going to be like, wow, I didn't think that was going to be as good as it is. I think they're really getting surprised by it. So I'm going to put that one in the A category. The next movie out in February 14th, is Captain America: Brave New World. And I just don't know about this movie. I've heard a lot of bad things about it. It's had a lot of negative press. It's had a lot of reshoots. They've changed characters. They've changed villains. If you watched my video from before when I did movies that I think may be absolute flops in 2025, this was on that list. This movie started production before Marvel came out with the edict of making less and more quality movies and shows. So this is the last movie of a bygone era in Marvel before they usher in getting back to what made Marvel movies good. So I just don't know if this movie is going to be good. It could be good, but it has the potential to be really, really bad. So I'm going to put this movie into the C column because of that. The next movie is coming out in March 7th. It is called Queen of the Ring. This is another biopic about Mildred Burke, who is a female professional wrestler. And she was in part of professional wrestling back when women weren't really allowed to wrestle in professional wrestling. So this movie may sound interesting. I've never heard of her before. This is in an era well before I've ever watched wrestling or even knew about her or any type of stuff. But I think it's going to be a good and decent biopic, maybe. We'll see. I'm just going to put it in the C category. I think it may be good, but I think because it's about somebody that nobody really knows, that it's not going to do that well. The next movie, another Disney movie, Snow White. Now, if you'd watched my video before, the one that Captain America is in, you would know that I think Snow White may be the biggest box office bomb of all time. There is a ton of bad press and bad heat around this movie. There was reshoots. They had public pushback on this movie. The lead actress has said a lot of things that have made a lot of people angry. The son of the person who made the original cartoon said that this movie is an absolute disgrace. And there's just so much bad heat around the movie. Even if it somehow has a decent plot and is decent, I just don't think that it can survive all of the negativity around it. And this is going to be the first movie that I'm going to be putting in the D category. Next up is a movie based on a video game. It's not the video game that I would choose to make a movie on, but it's one that there's a lot of people who have played this game. It's one of the most popular games probably since the 2010s, and that's the Minecraft movie. Now, I will say I'm going to be interested. I haven't really played Minecraft in my life. I know the premise. I've seen other people play it. So I am a little intrigued by this movie. Jack Black and Jason Momoa are both in this movie. I think they're both hilarious. Jason Momoa has really turned into a great actor, both in comedy and in action. I've been surprised by his comedic chops in movies, and he's really shown me that he's got a real comedic vibe to him and does a great job on that. So because of this movie, I think it's going to be doing a lot better than probably people think. I think people are a little wary of this movie, but I think it's going to be in the B category for me. The next movie coming out in April is The Resurrection of the Christ. This is the sequel to The Passion of the Christ that Mel Gibson did many years ago. And though I don't like Mel Gibson, I don't necessarily think he's a great person, but The Passion of the Christ was a really good movie, and I'm really interested to see how this movie is. It picks up after the resurrection, obviously, and moves forward with Christ's mission after the resurrection. So I'm interested to see exactly how far this movie goes, if it just goes to the ascension or if it goes beyond that. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it has a lot of promise. It's one of my top movies that I am looking forward to this year. I am going to give this one because the first movie was met with a lot of praise and critical acclaim. So I'm going to make this movie part of the A list. Now, the next movie that we have coming out is a sequel. The first movie I thought was absolutely fantastic. It was one of my favorite movies of the year when it came out. I don't remember exactly what year it was. Ben Affleck did a marvelous job in this movie. It was one that people kind of didn't see coming, that There wasn't much buzz around it, but when people saw it, they really liked it. It's a great action movie. This is going to be The Accountant 2. The Accountant 1 was fantastic. I expect nothing less of the second movie. I think it's just going to be a very solid, good action movie, and people are really going to enjoy it. People should know what to expect a little bit more for this, so hopefully it can live up to the hype instead of coming in as an underdog or a not well-known movie and pleasing people. Hopefully it lives up to the hype of the original. So I'm going to give this movie, this is a tough one. I don't know if it really goes to the A column, but I think it's probably better than a B. I'm going to put it in the B, but it is going to be a high B, and probably a B plus to A minus, somewhere in there. It's going to be a high on the B list, though. After that, we have the Thunderbolts movie, a movie that I think has promise. I think this is the first movie that has come out after Marvel's edict of making less but better movies. So I think this movie has better promise than Captain America. And because of that, I think it's going to do well. I've seen the trailer for this movie, and the trailer looks really good. So we'll see. Well, with Marvel right now, it's kind of a hold your breath and wait and see approach, because we don't know if what they're saying is actually going to play out on camera. But we don't know. We'll see. So because of that, because we don't know a lot of those questions, I am going to think it's going to do better than Captain America, but I don't think it deserves to be in the A column. So it's going to go into the B column. After this, we have Lilo and Stitch, a live action remake. And the cartoon Lilo and Stitch, I thought, was a very fun and good movie. I really enjoyed it. But as with a lot of the other cartoons made into live action movies, they just haven't really lived up to the hype of the cartoon. And because of that, I'm a little leery of this movie. Can it be good? Absolutely. Can it just bomb? It could. It probably could. It's probably not going to be either of those. It's probably not going to be great. It's probably not going to be bad. I think it's going to lie somewhere in the middle. And I think it's going to be slightly above average, which I'm going to put it as a high C in that category. I think it can work its way up into a B, but I'm going to put it in a C right now, but as a high C. On the same day, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning comes out. I believe this is going to be the final Mission Impossible in the entire series. And the first half of this movie, Dead Reckoning, was absolutely amazing. I loved it. I think I saw it 3 or 4 times in the theater. I enjoyed it so much. It was so fast-paced and so much action and such a great story. And I can't wait for that just smaller story to be filled and finished and told, but the overall story of Mission Impossible of the series to be finished and come to a conclusion. This has been a great, fun, action-packed, entertaining series of movies. It's not the greatest movies series of all time, but it's definitely a very highly entertaining movie series. And I think that they've recently just been getting really, really good at these. And I can't wait to see this. This is going to be the first movie in my S tier. Now comes to a couple potential movies that I don't know if anyone really wants to see, but first one we have is the Karate Kid Legends. Now, from everything that I've heard, this movie isn't going to tie into any of the really previous movies or the show on Netflix. It's kind of going to be a standalone movie, but have some characters in it from the movie. They're going to have Danny, I believe that's his name. I'm drawing a blank. Ralph Macchio's character. He's going to be in the movie, but other than that, I don't understand if it's not going to connect anything and it's kind of just going to be its own standalone thing. I just don't understand why. So because of this, I'm just going to put this movie down into the D category. And another movie that nobody wants is Dirty Dancing 2. I don't know why they're making this movie. Patrick Swayze's dead. What's the point? I don't really know. I mean, it's been a long time since this movie was made. I think it was made in the 80s, so it's got to be close to 40 years old. And why are you coming out with a second movie now? Like, it just don't make any sense. It's just Hollywood can't think of any original ideas, so they have to come out to sequels to movies that are 40 some years old. I don't know. There's not much to say. This movie's probably just going to be bad. I'm going to put it in the D category. Then we have another live action, and this one is How to Train Your Dragon. Now, I have to admit, I love the How to Train Your Dragon movies. They were fantastic. I love them a lot. This is one live action I really, really hope they get right because of how much I enjoyed the cartoons. Again, those movies that have been from cartoon to live action have had a lot of mixed reviews, but I'm hoping that this one is going to give right. And because of that, because of my hope, I'm going to put this movie up into the B category. I think if they do it right, this movie can go up into the A category, but because of the unknown of becoming a live action, we're going to keep it in the B category. And the last movie of June we have is Megan 2.0. Now, I saw Megan 1.0. I saw it in the theaters, and this movie was good. It was a movie that probably wasn't on most people's radar. It was a movie that I had very little expectations going into, and I thought it was fairly enjoyable. It's a little bit of a thriller. It's not a horror, but more of just a thriller type movie. And I really enjoyed it. And I thought it had a good story that it told. And I think that this movie can do the same thing. If they use the things that worked well in the first movie, I think that they can do the second movie just as well. I think that there's stuff that they can build on. And because of that, I think this movie is just going to be solid, a very solid movie. It's not going to be a great movie because it's a very limited movie, but it does well with what it can. And because of that, I think it's going to fall into the B category. Before we get into the rest of the video ranking the movies of 2025, I want to talk about the giveaway we're going to have here at the channel at Chris Reacts. We're going to be giving away a $150 gift card to Fandango, which is awesome. That's going to be so sweet. If you love movies, this is going to be able to allow you to see a whole lot of these movies this year in 2025, hopefully. And all you have to do to enter yourself into this contest is to give this video a like, follow us on the channel, and comment down below what you thought of this video, what movies that you're most looking forward to, and share this video with the hashtag Chris Reacts. If you do those 4 things, you're going to be entered in. And once we hit 500 subscribers, we will be doing a drawing for the giveaway. We'll be doing it live right here on the channel. So I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait to get to that, be able to give that gift card to one lucky fan of this channel. It's going to be a great time. I can't wait. Let's get back to the video and probably the biggest month of movies the entire year, July. Starting with July 2nd, we have a movie that has come in a franchise that is just fantastic. It is a movie that goes back to my childhood, and I just love this series. This is the start of, I think, a 3rd trilogy in this series, and that is the Jurassic World series with Jurassic World Rebirth. I think this movie is going to be great. I love the original Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park 2 and 3 were just, okay. But the sequel series, Jurassic World, were fantastic. I really enjoyed all 3 of those movies. And I think making this reboot, I don't know if it's like a full reboot or if they're just continuing on the story, but I think that's going to be great. Any movie that has dinosaurs in it and interacting with them with humans. I think it's going to be fantastic. I am really looking forward to this movie, and I think this is going to be one of the best movies of the year. I don't know if it's going to creep into S tier, but I think it's going to definitely a high A tier. So we're going to put it in the high A tier. Now, the next movie that comes out just a week later is Superman. This is a reboot of the Superman series at DC. James Gunn is in charge of DC now, and I'm really looking forward to the direction that he is going to take the entire DC universe. And he's starting that off with its most iconic character in the DC universe, and that's Superman. I think they made a decent choice in their pick who's playing Superman, and I'm interested to see how this movie goes. It looks like from the trailer that there's going to be more superheroes in it, more than just Superman. So I think it's going to be a really good movie. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be one of the best movies of the year, and I'm going to put this movie into the A tier. In a movie month with great movies, we have one probably stinker and another movie where we ask ourselves, why are they even making this movie? And that is another movie in the How I Know What You Did Last Summer series. I don't know why they're making this movie. The franchise hasn't even been that great. It just was okay. The first movie was decent, and it's kind of gone downhill since. And I don't know what kind of glory they're trying to relive or recreate in a series that hasn't been that great. It's just been okay. But I don't think this movie is going to be very good. I think they're just trying to hope to regain some of the goodness of the original, but I don't think they're going to. This movie's going straight to the D tier. Now we move on to another amazing, fantastic movie. Yes, that pun was intended. In July, coming out July 25th, is Fantastic Four: First Steps. I really think this Marvel movie is going to be the best Marvel movie maybe since Infinity War or Endgame. I think that Marvel's come down with their edict of making less but better movies, and I think this definitely is going to be the first movie that fills that criteria. Not only that, Fantastic Four, they're the first family of Marvel. I know Kevin Feige doesn't want to screw this up. We've seen him screw up the Fantastic Four a couple times in the past. I think the original series was okay. I think the first movie was solid. The second movie I thought was better than most people did, and it definitely had some flaws in it, but it was below average. And then the remake they had several years back was just absolutely terrible. And I think we are in desperate need to have a good Fantastic Four movie, and I think we're going to get it this time around. Marvel is not going to screw this up this time, and because of that, I think this movie is going to go into the S tier. I think it's going to be a highlight and maybe one of the highest rated movies of the entire year. The next movie comes out August 15th, and that movie is another sequel. A movie where the sequel was an unexpected movie, a movie that people weren't really looking for it to be that great and ended up being a fantastic movie. And that movie is Nobody 2. The first movie, Nobody, was awesome. I loved it. It was one of my favorite movies of the year. I went into it just saying like, oh, this could be a good, entertaining movie. And I came out thinking this was an absolutely fantastic movie. I love this movie. And I am looking forward to the second one. I think it has a good premise. I think they could continue on with the story that they told in the first one and dive a little bit deeper into the main character's story arc from who he was in his past and how that moves forward into the future and the new threats that may come along because of the past that he used to live. And this movie, I think, is going to be good. I'm going to put this one in the A category. I hope that it lives up to the hype because I think it has the premise to be really, really good, but we'll see. Then after that, we have a bad month of September. There's really no good movies in September. It's just, even October for the most part, from the middle of August to almost the end of October, there's not much good movies going on, which is sad because you'd think they'd put something in there that people would want to see, and there really just isn't. Maybe there'll be some smaller movie that'll really look good once some of these trailers start coming out, but we're just going to have to wait and see. So the next movie that is coming out that people may enjoy is October 24th, and that's going to be with Mortal Kombat 2. Now, the original Mortal Kombat series, the first two movies, were not very good at all. The first movie was bad. The second movie was just absolutely awful, one of the worst movies of all time. But when they did the remake, it was a much more gritty, much more violent, more in tune with how the video game actually was. And I think the first movie was solid. I didn't like Louis Tan being interjected into this movie as a character who's not part of the game. That part for me kind of drew me back a little bit, but the parts that were from the game I thought were really good. They were done really well. The story between Sub-Zero and Scorpion in that movie were fantastic. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where they take this movie next, the series. I think if they do it right, this could be a franchise that goes on for several movies and be really, really good. And I'm just hoping that they'll do it right, and we'll see. You don't know, but we'll hope for it. Because of that, I'm going to put this movie in the B category. I think it has the potential to do what's right, but you won't know until we actually see if they're actually able to do it right. After that, we move on to November, and we have first movie in November. On November 7th, we have Predator: Badlands. Now, Predator movies are great. I love them. They've had some stinkers in there, so we got to hope that this could be a good one. If it's good Predator movies are really good. Bad Predator movies are really bad. So this movie is either going to be really good or it's going to be really bad. Because of that, I think I'm just going to put this right dead in the middle, not knowing until it comes out where this movie is going to land. So I'm just going to put it into the B category because we don't know if it's going to be really good or really bad. Next is Now You See Me 3. It's been a minute since we have seen one of these movies, and Now You See Me 1 and Now You See Me 2 were fantastic. These movies have a magical element. They have magic involved in them and sleight of hand, and there's a whole lot deeper story that goes on with those movies. And the first two were done awesome. So I am very interested to see what the third one is. I have high hopes that it's going to be just as good as the first two movies. They have a good track record, so why would this movie not think it's going to be anything less than that? I think it's going to be a low A movie. It's definitely higher than the B tier and the movies that are in the B tier, but I don't know if it's going to if it's the same level as the ones in the A tier, maybe near some of them, but I'm going to put it in the A tier for that. Then we have the movie on November 21st, Wicked for Good. And this movie, I don't know. I didn't watch the original Wicked. I have no really desire to see it. It's one of those, if you're into it, you enjoyed it. If you're not into it, you have no desire to see it. And that's fine. It's not a movie that I really have any desire to see. Maybe I'll see it if I'm bored just to see what it's like. Who knows? But I don't have much of a desire to see it. Because of that though, but if you do, I think people are going to really want to see this movie. So I've heard good things about people who went and saw the first part back a couple months ago, and they all had really good things to say about it. So because of that if if you're into this movie and you want to see this movie, I think you're really going to enjoy it. So I will put it into the A category, even though it's not my type of movie. It's not something that I'm interested in seeing. I think those who are will like it. We then move on to Zootopia 2. I really liked the first Zootopia. I thought it was a fun, good, entertaining movie. I think kids will really enjoy this movie, and it's just going to be a very good and solid movie. And there's not a whole lot to say about it, but I'm just going to put this one in the B category. It's just going to be a very solid movie. And then the last movie we have on our list today is Avatar: Fire and Ash. Now, I think this movie can be great. The original Avatar, I thought, was groundbreaking. It was fantastic. It was amazing. I loved that movie. The second movie, it had a lot to live up to in the first one, and it was never going to be able to live up to that as groundbreaking as the first one was. that this movie, the second one, was not going to live up to that. And I think it got a bad rap because of that. Not that people didn't like it. I think people thought it was good and solid, but it was just not going to live up to that hype of the first one. But now that we've had 2 movies come out, and now that we've have a little bit more realistic expectations on what the subsequent movies in this series can be, I think people are going to really enjoy this movie. And moving forward, I think they're going to enjoy the storylines and everything that comes from this movie series. And I think this movie is going to be fantastic. It comes out December 19th. And I think that we are going to exit 2025 with a bang. And I think this is going to be an S tier movie that everyone is going to love and will be talking about through all of 2026. So let me know down in the comments, what did you think of this list? Do you think I nailed it? Are there movies that you would move up? There are movies that you would move down? I want to hear from you down in the comments. Until next time, everyone, see ya.